Here we are given that triangle TUV is similar to triangle HFG. So remember, that's lining up our corresponding parts. T would correspond to H, and then U corresponds to F, and V corresponds to G. Now if these triangles are similar, then that would mean that all the corresponding angles are congruent. So when we're asked to find the measure of angle V, we know that it corresponds to G. So it should be 31 degrees. The other thing we can check to make sure of is, remember, triangles add up to 180 degrees. So if I know that U is 117 and T is 32, if V is 31, does that actually add up to 180? And if we plug it into our handy dandy calculator, we see 117 plus 31 plus 32 does add up to 180. In this next example, we have these similar quadrilaterals, and I want to pay attention to the way it's written. So here we have our quadrilateral UVWX. That's how it's written, UVWX. And this next one we have FEDG. Now when I set this up to solve this, I'm going to draw them a little different. So we are given that we have UVWX, same way that it was shown on our example, UVWX, but when I draw my next one, I want to line up these corresponding sides. So when I label this quadrilateral, and we have UVWX corresponding to FEDG, I want to line up the U and the F. So I'm going to put the F here, and then I'm going to work my way around from UVWX, UVWX. I'm going to work my way around the same way on this side, so it's going to be FEDG. And that lines up my corresponding sides. Now when I go back to my original and I look at EF is a side that we are looking for, we're also looking for UX. I am given that ED and FG are each 3. So ED and FG are 3. So ED is here, FG is here. Now remember, if these are similar figures, then that would mean that our corresponding sides are proportional. So when I set up a proportion to solve this, if I'm looking for this side over here, let's say this is side A, well, let's see, our corresponding sides, notice that these two are congruent, which then tells me that because these are similar, these two would also be congruent. So that would make that, if this is 24, that side, UX, would be 24. The other side we're looking for is EF. All right, we're looking for side EF. That's this side here. So when I set up a proportion on this one, I'm looking for this side, and I have my 3 here that corresponds to the 24 here. My other corresponding side, what corresponds with EF would have to be the UV. EF, UV, they correspond. So when I set up my proportion, I'm going to have EF corresponds to 16, those two, and then 3 and 24. Then I solve the proportion. Remember, we can cross multiply. So I have 24 times EF is equal to 3 times 16. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 24. So 3 times 16 is equal to 48. 48 divided by 24 tells me that EF is going to be equal to 2. We could also use our handy dandy calculator on that part. So if I take 3 times 16 divided by 24, we find that EF is 2. So then for each of those, we found that UX was 24 and EF is 2.